Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I feel like I've been stabbed in the back. This is a growing sentiment that I feel as though is the underlying message that I'm receiving from a lot of folks that are commenting on some of my most recent videos as they relate to the railroad workers union strike situation that has been halted, has been completely stopped. The idea and the possibility of it happening is no more. President Biden put his foot down. He signed into law. This is no executive order, folks. He signed into law, essentially making it illegal for railroad workers to strike. Now, I'm actually receiving more intel, more insider intel and boots on the ground information from railroad workers, particularly this email right here that I'm going to read to you guys in just a moment. Huge insight. But what they're telling me is that it's not as easy as it seems. After feeling like they've been stabbed in the back, they have really no recourse other than insubordination, which would ultimately lead to termination, which would damage their work history, their resume, and ultimately eliminate any possibility of reaching railroad retirement. Now, with that being said, folks, link in the description. I want you to check out my Patreon. Is not just for paid members. There's free content on my Patreon. So patreon.com/Kevin247. I've put up a video on there for anybody to watch. There's no fee. You don't have to sign in. It's a free video because it is breaking down what it takes to quit. Now, when I say what it takes to quit, I'm talking about for almost anybody, because I'm sharing with you my own personal experience from where I actually quit my six-figure job that I worked for over 10 years. And people said, Kevin, you're crazy. Well, guess what? Perhaps maybe I was. However, I was interested in achieving a quality of life that was more important than any amount of money. However, I knew that I could produce the money as well. And that is the big question. If I were to say, screw this and walk and just turn my back on the railroad, much like they have turned their back on their employees, their workers, everyone in the union, how do I replace my income? How do I solidify my financial future? How do I set myself up and my family for retirement? That's the question, folks. Retirement doesn't have to just come from an organization or a pension or Social Security or whatever it may be. It just needs to be a form of savings, investments, income, cash flow producing assets that allow you the ability to maintain your quality of life without having to go to work every single day. That doesn't mean you don't work. It just means you don't have to. Whole nother topic, whole nother subject. If you guys want to know more, let me know. If I get enough interest in the comments, I'll be sure to make that video. But at the same time, there is some very valuable information that I'm sharing with everybody through the network. And again, it's not for just paid members. So there's free content there as well. Link in the description, patreon.com/Kevin247. So, you know, the workers feel like they've been stabbed in the back. And I would agree, based on the circumstances, the information that's been provided, the news, everything that I'm seeing and hearing, this does seem like a bit of a stab in the back. There was a long drawn out process of contract negotiations, this, that, and the other. Now, granted, the workers are receiving increase in pay and retroactive back pay. So we're not going to ignore the fact that there have been some concessions made and there have been some wins along, but they've won certain battles, but ultimately they have lost the war as far as having the ability to have additional paid sick time, improving their quality of life, and even having some legal recourse and action to take, with that being removed altogether by President Joe Biden. Now, I want to read some comments to you folks, okay? Check this out. This comment here says, let them strike. Let them strike. So much for the supporters of union rights. Joke Biden. Joke Biden. He just stabbed all unions in the back. Bring on a Teamster strike too. So it's not just the Railroad Workers Union and the Brotherhood there. They're talking about the Teamsters as well. They're trying to get all the unions Can you imagine if all the unions in the United States decided to go on strike? So find Hoffa now and clone him. We need Jimmy Daddy back. This one says Biden is about control. They stabbed the rail workers, the rails workers in the back. It's just like any communist county or country now. It's like any communist country now. You know, if you allow yourself to have that level of control over you, then perhaps yes, maybe, which is why I really want to know why so many folks are pushing for universal basic income. I really want to know. Please enlighten me. Now this one's a little bit lengthy, but it says, I'm a conductor for the BNSF, and we all feel as if we've been stabbed in the back and continue to be disrespected. Work morale here is at an all-time low, and everyone has had enough. No one is willing to do anything more than they have to for these corporate greedy bastards. I don't think anyone realizes the sacrifices we make to our families to do our jobs. Some will argue that we make a lot of money and we should be content with what we have, but there is no amount of money that can replace the time we lose with our families on a daily basis. We road conductors and engineers spend 30 to 50 hours away from home and families every trip, and get to rest at home for 10 hours before we become available to be called to do it all over again. We are on call 24/7 and get penalized extra points for taking holidays off to catch up and take time with our loved ones. Our health and mental well-being is affected by these grueling schedules, and sometimes we just need a break and just need the peace of mind that we can take a sick day off if we need to take care of ourselves or just do a routine checkup without being penalized. Well, corporate America has spoken loud and clear in telling us to F off and go do our jobs without any paid sick days. We say to them and anyone who backed them, expletive you, shove the product we deliver and you enjoy up your greedy ass. Man, oh man, look, I'm sensing the emotion. I'm sensing the emotion in this this comment, and I'm not upset with it. I'm not, knocking it. This is real talk right here, folks. This is real talk. And we got one more here. Just quit. Just quit. If 20,000 of you say you're quitting, they can't stop you. Use that as a leverage. You need to use everything at your disposal when you fight the government. If not, why did you even start this strike in the first place? If you're going to back down, it will work. So, just to clarify, they didn't start a strike. They threatened to strike. They didn't start a strike. And I don't think 20,000, forgive me for this, folks, I don't think 20,000 is going to be enough. I thought we were at 140-ish thousand, but I'm seeing numbers of 190,000 railroad union workers, and I don't think 20,000 would be enough. I don't think it would be enough. Although they're already running pretty lean, thin skeleton crews, which are already pretty dangerous as it is, trying to get one man running as an engineer and a conductor. But I don't think 20,000 is enough. But the quitting is easier said than done, especially with the mentality and mindset that they have brainwashed a lot of these folks into, with not being able to find another job, not being able to replace their income, not being able to get the retirement. Folks, please don't let these minor details prevent you from achieving greatness, from achieving personal financial wealth and success, and a much better quality of life. That's just my motivation for you guys. And if anybody wants to know more, much like so many have now reached out and joined the network on Patreon and have connected with me through the post, the comments, and direct message, I'm here to help you guys, because there are so many options out there. And I think oftentimes the biggest problem hindrance, hurdle, obstacle, or question is what and how, and no one really knows. No one really has anybody to talk to about that. Now, granted, there are courses you can take, there are other channels you can watch, this, that, and the other, but they're not necessarily really giving you all the answers. Excuse my language, I shit you not. You ask me any question, I'll give you the answer. Ask me any question, you know, within reason as it relates to business, finance, money, retirement, savings, investments, things like that, quitting your job, starting a small business, investing for beginners, small businesses for beginners, side hustles for beginners, any of that. I will tell you. You want to know how I got my channel to be where it is today, how many subscribers I got, how many viewers I got, and you know, how much money you can make on YouTube? Look, I don't care. I'll tell you, because I actually honestly really am kind of upset with the fact that there aren't as many answers out there that are as easy to get, that are hidden and wrapped up in a bunch of crap and nonsense, where there's people out there who are seriously really trying to figure out a solution to a problem that they feel they have no way out of. So that's my promise to you guys. Okay, now if anybody is already a member of the network and is watching this and wants to, you know, vouch and comment down below, I really would appreciate that. Your feedback would be very helpful and beneficial to letting others know what they can get themselves into by coming on over and joining the network and utilizing this force that we have created amongst us all to help us all. With that being said, there's a free video on there that I just posted that I want you guys to check out. All right, now let's get to the good stuff. Let's get to the good stuff. Now, obviously, I can't share with you exactly all the information or the personal information here, but this is real world, boots on the ground intel about subject line, railroad myths and truths. Folks, one, thank you so much for the subscriber, the viewer. I hope it's a subscriber. If it's not, please subscribe to the channel. Give this video a like, turn on notifications. I would appreciate it. Thank you so much for sending this information. I only want to provide information, education, knowledge, and most importantly, the truth. Now, granted, I don't know everything. I can only believe half of what I hear, but I'll share it with you. I'll give you my thoughts. We can dissect it. We can go through it, and then we can formulate a plan and a strategy moving forward from that. Now, here it is. Kevin, and anybody else who's interested, please, my email address is in the description. Share with me whatever you got, whatever you want to be heard. Please share it. I will not contact you in the comment section down below with a WhatsApp or text me or anything like that. That's not me. Don't fall for the scams. They're on every channel. And you don't need to email me and tell me that. Like, I know they're there. I try to manage them. YouTube is terrible about managing these bots in the comments. But only contact me. I will never contact you. Plain and simple. All right, Kevin, here is myths and truths about the railroad contract. I've been following your YouTube channel and I thought you might like to see an insight into our railroad world. I'm a 25-year-old, I'm a 25-year employee of Union Pacific, and this is the worst I've seen in my 25 years. The railroad is the backbone of the nation. If we don't get a good contract, there will be a big change in our world. There's a whole lot of misconceptions that we are being greedy with wanting a huge pay raise, but the reality is that the contract will barely give us enough to keep up with the rate of inflation. I really do appreciate you saying that and putting that out there about the misconception of the perceived greediness of these railroad workers. I never thought that once, but I do think a lot more people need to hear that and understand that. The railroad won't budge on the paid sick days, but that's a small drop of what the real part of what we are wanting. Maybe you can make a video explaining the myths and truths of the contract and explaining to the public what is really going on. Below is a posted message that one of my friends on Facebook shared. And it says, I know a lot of you have been hearing about the big, scary rail strike. I just want to clarify a few things that the media and the government have done a very poor job explaining. That's what we need, folks. Clarity and knowledge and education and insight, okay? That's how we can make better and more informed decisions as we prepare for what's going on out there, folks. All right. So it says, If you are someone who really knows me, you'll know that I'm not one for hyperbole or exaggeration. I'll never try to overhype the situation. There are a lot of things you can say about me, but those who know me, I think, know that I'm pretty honest and pretty fair. If you're interested, I'd like to clear up a few popular misconceptions about the situation. So it says here, myth. The average railroader makes $130,000 per year. Fact. That is absolutely false. There are many different jobs / crafts on the railroad. There are many different, the craft that I work in, maintenance of way, the average worker makes approximately $62,000 per year. There are some rail workers who make more, but they typically have to sacrifice their entire personal and family life to do so. Regardless, please understand that pay was only a small part of the issue in this round of bargaining. And that actually brings me to a very important point that I want to make in a future video as I do a deep dive and fully discuss the issues around what these folks are trying to hang and dangle over your head as far as retirement. Because I looked it up. And I'll actually ask this question that if anybody can provide me with some clarity and information on it, I want to make sure I have the most accurate numbers. But it seems as though at the very best, after 25 or possibly 30 years of service, which I believe it was it 300 months or something? But anyway, there's a number that once you have reached that tenure, then you're eligible for retirement. However, that retirement, from what I saw, only seemed to be about approximately maybe, I don't know, $45,000 to $60,000 a year in retirement. Let me know if this is accurate, because if a $45,000 to $60,000 a year retirement plan is what is preventing you from taking the steps to, improve your quality of life, and being tied and trapped in this railroad, folks, there are opportunities out there where you can make far greater than that and be in control of your own life, your income, and improve the quality of life. So it says, myth. Railroad workers are getting a 24% raise. Fact. Rail workers have worked for the last 3 years without any raises or bonuses. The wage increase referenced in the current agreement, which has been imposed by Congress, calls for a 22% wage increase over 5 years, which includes retroactive pay from the past 3 years. The 24% figure has been tossed around loosely as if it was all at once. The wage increase is admittedly significant, but also barely covers inflation over the last few years. And the worst part about that, folks, in my opinion, is the fact that they had to go these last few years without it, struggling through it, perhaps maybe for some, maybe not for all, but struggling through it as they were just getting, tossed aside, ignored, and used and abused, rode hard, put up wet. Come on, guys. Let's not immediately pass judgment on others based on more than likely having little to no information besides the misleading news headlines and hearsay. Myth. The agreement that was imposed by Congress included no increases to healthcare costs. Fact. Oh boy. Rail workers will pay significantly more per month for their healthcare premiums. While we still have a good healthcare plan compared to the average, these increased costs will absolutely cut even more into the imposed wage increase. They give you a little, and then they take a lot more back. Myth. Rail workers already have paid sick leave. They don't need more. Fact. Rail workers have 0 paid sick days. I listened to a prominent member of Congress testify on the House floor that rail workers already average 3 weeks of paid leave and can achieve up to 5 weeks of paid leave based on seniority. What he was referencing was not paid leave, but vacation. In full transparency, I have 17 years seniority on the railroad, and next year will have earned my 4th week of paid vacation. This vacation time must be scheduled in advance. I can't just get COVID or the flu and cover it with vacation time. If I'm lucky and have an understanding supervisor, then and only then will I be allowed to use my vacation time to ensure I get paid to cover an illness. Otherwise, I'm subject to discipline for missing work due to an illness for me or a family member. A new hire typically has to work up to 1.5 years just to achieve 1 week of paid vacation. Can you imagine the stress, the overwhelming burden of taking on a new job, trying to provide for your family, trying to build a future, and worrying and fearing that you can never, ever miss work for 1.5 years before you even have the ability of possibly scheduling and requesting time off? Only to use that 1 week not to enjoy the life that you are building for you and your family, but only to use it to not have points counted against you, negatively affecting your employment, so that perhaps maybe you can use that week to go to the doctor or go to the dentist. Man, myth: rail workers want to strike and ruin the economy. Boy, oh boy, who thinks that? Fact: rail workers live here too. We are Americans. We absolutely don't want to strike. A rail strike would hurt our families just as much, if not more, than anyone. All we want is the ability to fight for a better life for our family. Another thing that nobody is talking about is the fact that rail workers are already quitting in record numbers. Yeah, Congress successfully averted a strike yesterday, but they also ensured a prolonged disaster with America's supply chain by not addressing the issues that are causing this employment shortage. Here's the deal: rail workers are generally well paid, yes, but the gap has closed, and folks are no longer willing to make the enormous sacrifices to quality of life and broken homes for slightly more than the average job. So basically, you can make more, or you can make about the same, maybe a little less, in an average job somewhere else without the huge burden and sacrifice that comes with railroad worker life. They are Americans. Anything that they would do that would impact the economy would affect them as well. So why would they want to do that to themselves? You know, they're not they're not lawmakers, they're not politicians, they're not in Congress. Only they make rash, unjust justifications of their actions and judgment to ruin the life and quality of life for the entire country, not realizing that it could possibly affect them. But in their high perches and in the towers where they reside, they actually fly higher than weather, and they don't really care about the consequences of their actions. They feel as though they're above that. You can comment down and argue and debate me if you think I'm wrong. But the other crazy thing is that comments are coming in saying that they'll allow immigrant workers to take over the workforce on these railroads. Screw the American people. Man, that would be something, wouldn't it? Myth: rail workers don't need paid sick leave. Rail workers don't need paid sick days. Fact: when the pandemic began and everyone was ordered to stay home, rail workers showed up. While other essential workers were receiving wage increases and bonuses, rail workers received a piece of paper to protect us from stay-at-home orders. We came to work. We kept the supply chain moving so that we all still had groceries and other essential items. We got sick. Many of our brothers and sisters died from COVID. If we got COVID, we were subject to the same quarantine rules as everyone else. Our choice then became quarantine and crash my family budget, or go to work and infect my coworkers. God, dog. Whew, man, reading this stuff really, really kind of puts everything into perspective, man. Myth: 8 out of 12 rail unions ratified the contract, so most workers approved of the deal. Fact: the 8 unions who ratified the contract did so with razor-thin majorities. The 4 unions that rejected the contract comprised more than half of the workers from the 12 unions. In other words, the majority of rail workers rejected the imposed agreement. So let's look at that from a mathematical standpoint. Even if 4 out of the 12 rejected, those 4 collectively made up in volume a larger percentage and portion than the other 8. Now it says here, I'm not asking for anyone's sympathy. I feel fortunate to have a job. All I'm asking is that before you draw conclusions, please reach out to your friendly neighborhood railroader. We're not the bad guys. We're just trying to make a life for our family like anyone else. Folks, this is it right here. Boots on the ground, real world insider intel, leaked information from actual railroad workers affected mostly by these changes and what's happening and what's going on. And I side with the railroaders. I side with them 100%. Regardless of what they decide to do, I side with them. I understand the situation that they're in. I want to gain even more knowledge about it. And with that being said, I want to be able to provide some form of aid and help and assistance to anyone out there looking to try to improve on their situation, given the crappy deal, the shit sandwich that they have been served and forced to eat with no ranch on the side. Folks, what do we do? What do we do? Well, all we can do is try to prepare. We can pay attention to the warning signs. We can see the forces that are working against us, and we can try to come together as a community. Much like the reason behind why I've created the network is to allow people a collective group and a forum to help everybody. Everybody. So again, I'm posting a free video over there for you guys interested in learning about how you can, in any field, walk away from what you think are these slavery chains of employment and these fictitious benefits and daydreams and pipe dreams of retirement grandeur. Folks, there are options, there are alternatives, there are solutions out there, and we can make it happen. I've done it and you can do it. Trust me, every single day. You guys take care, be safe. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.